Imagine a moment in your life when you felt profound peace, a tranquility that seemed to envelop every part of your being. Now, think about what it would be like to lose that peace because of a single mistake, a slip that we often don't even realize we are making. We are talking about a mistake as common as it is dangerous, capable of disturbing our inner tranquility and drastically affecting our quality of life. This mistake does not choose by age, sex, or social class. It is democratic in its ability to destabilize anyone. But what is this mistake? We can call it negligence of the present moment, a failure to recognize the importance of living here and now, of appreciating the current moment without the constant worry about the past or anxiety for the future. It's like walking through a stunning garden with your eyes fixed on a smartphone, missing the beauty that surrounds you, or spending time with friends and family, but with your mind elsewhere, missing the chance to build meaningful memories. This oversight may seem small, almost insignificant, but its consequences are anything but. When we are not fully present, we lose more than just moments. We lose the chance to live fully. Life begins to look like a movie that plays in front of our eyes without us really watching it or feeling its depth. Every moment not lived is a missed opportunity for connection, joy, and yes, peace. The good news is that this mistake, although easy to make, can also be avoided. It requires, however, a change in perspective and often a conscious effort to reconnect with the now. As someone who has learned to value every second, I can say the effort is worth it. The peace that comes from being truly present in each moment is incomparable and is something everyone deserves to experience. So, how can we begin to correct this mistake? The mistake we refer to, neglecting the present moment, is a subtle but impactful failure in how we interact with the world around us. Think of it as being in a conversation, but instead of listening attentively, your mind wanders to future worries or past regrets. Or when you're eating a delicious meal, but instead of savoring each bite, you are distracted by your phone, missing the richness of the experience. This mistake is rooted in the human tendency to live on autopilot, letting thoughts and worries drag us away from the immediate reality. It creates a barrier between us and the experiences that could bring us joy, connection, and of course, peace. As a consequence, precious moments go unnoticed. Opportunities for growth are ignored, and the beauty of everyday life is overshadowed by a fog of distraction. Correcting this mistake involves awakening to the beauty of the now, a recognition that each moment has its own value. By tuning into the present, we not only improve our own quality of life, but also enrich the lives of those around us, offering them our full and genuine attention. This shift in perspective is not an easy task, but it is incredibly rewarding, opening doors to a richer and more fulfilling existence. I will tell the story of Lucas, a dedicated young professional, always worried about the future, planning every step of his career and personal life. Despite his successes, Lucas felt constantly anxious, unable to enjoy his achievements or the present moment. One day, during a walk in the park, he met Marina, an artist who lived very differently. Marina taught Lucas the value of observing the small details around him, appreciating the birdsong and the beauty of the trees. She shared with him how the practice of being present transformed her art and her life, making it richer and more colorful. Lucas, initially skeptical, decided to try it. He began to dedicate a few minutes of his day to simply being, observing the world without judgments or distractions. Over time, he noticed a significant change in his perception of life. Moments previously insignificant now brought joy and satisfaction. The anxiety from constant worry about the future began to diminish, giving way to an inner peace Lucas never imagined possible. This story, although simple, highlights the profound impact that mindfulness of the present moment can have on our lives. Lucas learned that peace does not come from incessantly achieving future goals, but from appreciating the now, the beauty and richness of each lived moment. Exploring the psychological perspective, we enter a fascinating area that reveals much about how our thoughts and emotions shape our experience of life. Let's take the story of a character, Lucas, as an example. Lucas is someone who, like many of us, often finds himself lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. The mistake of not living in the present moment, which seems so small at first glance, actually has deep roots in human psychology. From a young age, we are conditioned to focus on outcomes, on what comes next, rather than appreciating the process or the current moment. This conditioning shapes our way of operating in the world, creating a predisposition for neglecting the now in favor of what has not yet happened or what has already passed. Lucas, for example, realizes that his happiest moments are always linked to future expectations or past memories, rarely to what is happening right before his eyes. Psychology teaches us that this tendency is not just a habit, but a coping strategy that evolved to help us deal with stress and anxiety. However, when poorly managed, this strategy distances us from the only reality we truly possess, the present. Lucas's anxiety about the future and nostalgia for the past are in many respects defense mechanisms against the fear of the unknown and loss. But paradoxically, this constant escape to thoughts beyond the now is what perpetuates his state of dissatisfaction and discontent. From a mental health standpoint, living in the present moment is essential for our well-being. Studies show that mindfulness, a practice involving bringing full awareness to the present, can significantly reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, improve concentration, and even increase overall life satisfaction. For Lucas, starting mindfulness practices, such as meditation or conscious breathing exercises, could be a transformative first step toward reconnecting with the now and, by extension, finding more lasting peace. This shift in focus from what could be to what is requires reprogramming our habitual thought patterns, something that does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process of recognizing and accepting our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing us to experience the fullness of the present moment with all its richness and complexity. Therefore, as we reflect on the nature of this common mistake, it becomes evident that the path to inner peace and satisfaction is not in correcting what was, or in meticulously planning what will be, but in cultivating a deep appreciation for what is. For Lucas, and for each of us, the real journey begins with a simple yet powerful act of being present. In our lives, the mistake of not living in the present has a notable impact on human relationships. Imagine Ana and Pedro, a couple who, despite loving each other deeply, often find themselves at odds. Pedro, always worried about the future, plans every aspect of their lives, from finances to where they will spend their next vacation. Ana, on the other hand, values spontaneity and the pleasure of small moments together, like a quiet breakfast or a walk at dusk. The tension between them grows because Pedro is mentally absent, always focused on what comes next, unable to appreciate the moments of connection that Ana so values. This disconnection is not about a lack of love, but about a fundamental mistake: Pedro's inability to be truly present. This scenario is common in many relationships, where one or both partners get lost in future worries or past regrets, missing out on the beauty and depth of shared moments. This mistake manifests in various forms. Parents who fail to notice the details of their children's growth, friends who can't support each other in difficult times because they are distracted with their own concerns, or even colleagues who fail to build trustful relationships because they are not truly engaged. Correcting this mistake requires a conscious effort to bring our attention back to the present, to value the now and the people with whom we share our lives. It means truly listening when someone speaks, appreciating the small gestures of affection, and recognizing the importance of being present, not just physically, but with all our being. The story of Ana and Pedro teaches us a valuable lesson. relationships flourish in presence. When we learn to value the present moment, we not only enrich our own lives, but also nurture and strengthen the bonds that connect us to others. This is a mistake we can all work to avoid, transforming every interaction into an opportunity for deeper and more meaningful connection. In the context of health and well-being, the influence of the mistake of not living in the present is profoundly significant. Imagine the following. The human mind is like a garden that needs constant care. If we neglect this garden, allowing weeds of negative thoughts and worries about the future to take over, we end up compromising the health of this space, leaving it unproductive and lifeless. This analogy directly reflects on our mental and physical health. When we are caught in cycles of thought about the past or future, our body reacts as if these concerns were present threats, releasing stress hormones like cortisol, which can lead to a range of health problems, from insomnia to more serious conditions like heart disease. Moreover, anxiety and depression, often fueled by this inability to live in the present, can affect not just our mental health but also our physical health, weakening our immune system and increasing our vulnerability to diseases and infections. It's as if we were in a boat navigating a stormy sea of thoughts and worries, not realizing that if we simply stopped rowing against the tide and anchored ourselves in the now, the sea would calm down, allowing us to enjoy the journey with more health and peace. The impact of this on our quality of life is undeniable. When we take a moment to breathe deeply, observe nature, or simply be fully present in a conversation, we are, in fact, nurturing our mental garden, promoting an environment of health and well-being. This practice, known as mindfulness or mindfulness, has shown in numerous studies its ability to significantly reduce stress and anxiety levels, improving our overall health. Therefore, by cultivating presence and learning to live each moment fully, we not only improve our mental and physical health, but also transform our life experience, discovering a source of peace and contentment that has always been within us, waiting to be recognized and lived. Entering the spiritual perspective on the mistake of not living in the present is to dive into an ocean of ancient and modern wisdom, exploring how this failure affects not only our inner being, but also our connection with the world around us. Visualize for a moment that each of us is like a leaf floating on a vast and eternal river. This leaf, carried by the current, symbolizes our journey through life. When we fixate on future worries or past regrets, it's as if that leaf swirls in eddies, unable to follow the natural flow of the river. In spiritual traditions, it is taught that the present moment is the only true reality we possess. It is here that life unfolds, where the divine presence manifests. Spiritual thinkers, like Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra, emphasize the importance of anchoring ourselves in the now, suggesting that by doing so, we connect to a source of peace and serenity that transcends ordinary understanding. They remind us that, as spiritual beings having a human experience, we have the power to choose where we place our attention. By choosing the present, we open the doors to a deeper consciousness and to a more authentic connection with our true self and the universe. This mistake of not being present is also seen as a barrier to spiritual realization. Like a foggy lens, it distorts our perception of reality, preventing us from seeing the beauty and magic of the now. By focusing on future fears or past lamentations, we disconnect from the source of our existence, from the breath of life that animates us and everything around us. This misalignment is not just detrimental to our mental and physical health, but also distances us from the experience of the sacred, the sublime that lies in every breath, every smile, every sunset. Spiritual practice, whether meditation, prayer, or simply the practice of gratitude and mindfulness, is seen as a way to correct this mistake. These practices invite us to stop, to breathe, and to recognize the sacredness of the moment. They teach us to value each experience, each encounter as an opportunity to connect with something greater than ourselves. It's a reminder that, in the grand scheme of things, the moments we live now are precious and irreplaceable. Therefore, the spiritual perspective offers us a powerful insight into the mistake of not living in the present encouraging us to embrace each moment with an open heart and conscious mind. It teaches us that, by doing so, we not only find peace and satisfaction, but also touch the essence of the divine that resides within and around us. This is the path to a full life, a path back to the heart, where true peace resides. To prevent the mistake of not living in the present, we can learn from the wisdom contained in the practices and teachings that surround us, inspired by thinkers like Eckhart Tolle. Imagine that your mind is a vast sky and thoughts passing clouds. Sometimes these clouds are dark and heavy, other times light and sparse. The mistake lies in focusing so much on these clouds that we forget the immense blue that supports them. An effective strategy for prevention is the practice of mindfulness, which teaches us to observe these clouds without clinging to them. This does not mean ignoring thoughts, but rather acknowledging them without letting them define the entirety of our experience. It's like standing on the bank of a river, watching the leaves, our thoughts, float by the current, without feeling the need to grab each one of them. Another approach is to cultivate gratitude for the present moment. Sometimes it's as simple as stopping for a moment to breathe deeply and recognize something for which we are grateful, something that is happening right now. It could be the feeling of the sun on our skin, the company of a friend, or even the tranquility of being alone. Setting small reminders throughout the day can be another valuable tool. It could be an alarm on the phone that, when it rings, invites us to pause and observe our environment, noticing what we are doing, feeling, and thinking at that exact moment. This helps to reorient our attention to the now, interrupting the automatic flow of thoughts about the past or the future. Incorporating moments of conscious pause into our daily routine, like practicing meditation, yoga, or simply spending a few minutes in silence, observing nature, can also strengthen our ability to live in the present. These practices help us create a space of calm amidst chaos, an internal refuge to which we can turn whenever we feel overwhelmed. Reflecting on our actions and thoughts is like looking into a mirror, not just to see our external appearance, but to observe what lies beneath. This process of introspection is essential for understanding how the mistake of not living in the present deeply affects our lives. Imagine that each thought about the past or future is like a wave in the ocean of our mind. Some of these waves are small and fleeting, while others are large and powerful, capable of knocking us off balance. The power of reflection lies in its ability to help us understand these waves, identifying which are beneficial and which take us away from the shore of inner peace. When we take the time to reflect, it's as if we stop time for a moment, allowing us to examine each wave of thought with clarity and intention. We can begin to ask ourselves, does this thought serve me well? Does it bring me closer to the person I want to be? This practice of questioning and observation teaches us to discern between what is useful and what is not, between what lifts us up and what pulls us down. Reflection also helps us break the cycle of living on autopilot, where we automatically react to external stimuli without truly considering our responses. By giving ourselves space to reflect, we create the opportunity to choose more conscious and aligned responses with our true values and goals. It's a bit like learning to dance with the waves instead of being dragged by them. Moreover, the power of reflection lies in its ability to connect us with our deeper self. By looking within, we begin to recognize our thought patterns, our emotional reactions, and the stories we tell ourselves. This self-awareness is the first step towards authentic change. It's like discovering an internal map that guides us through the turbulent waters of life, showing us when we are navigating towards inner peace or drifting away from it. In summary, the power of reflection is an invaluable tool on the journey to living more fully in the present. It allows us to pause, observe, and adjust our course as necessary. Thus, we learn not just to survive the waves, but to surf them with grace and skill, finding joy and contentment in the eternal now. Realize how money, this human invention so intertwined in our existence, can be a source of profound unhappiness or a pathway to fulfillment, depending on how we understand and utilize it. Let's think of money not just as a means to an end, but as a representation of values, exchanges, and even, in an abstract way, the very energy of life that flows between us and our society. When we start to see money in this light, we understand that true abundance goes beyond the digits in a bank account. It resides in the ability to recognize and value the countless forms of wealth that surround us every day, whether material, emotional, or spiritual. The true key to abundance is understanding that its source is infinite. The law of abundance teaches us that to receive, we must begin by giving. This doesn't necessarily mean parting with material resources, but sharing what we have most valuable: our attention, our respect, our love. When we operate from this principle, the universe seems to conspire in our favor, bringing more than we give into our life, not just in material terms, but in richness of experiences, relationships, and yes, even money. Gratitude plays a key role in this process. By focusing on the blessings present in our life, we open the door to more abundance. It's not just a spiritual cliché. It's a fundamental principle of abundance consciousness. By nurturing a grateful heart, we recognize the immense value of simple things: a smile, the beauty of nature, the company of someone dear, and that in itself is a form of wealth. Therefore, the journey toward true abundance begins with a shift in perspective. It requires seeing beyond monetary value and recognizing wealth in all its forms. By doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but also the lives of those around us, creating a virtuous cycle of generosity and gratitude that feeds the soul as much as the wallet. Maintaining inner peace in a world full of constant challenges and turmoil can seem like a Herculean task. However, through the wisdom shared by Eckhart Tolle, we can find practical pathways to cultivate and sustain this state of serenity, even in the most adverse circumstances. Imagine our mind as a vast and deep ocean where thoughts are like waves on the surface. Some of these waves are calm and peaceful, while others are turbulent and chaotic. The secret to maintaining inner peace lies in our ability to dive below the surface turmoil, reaching the serene depths that exist within each of us. Negative thoughts, like incessant worries about the future or regrets about the past, are waves that keep us on the stormy surface. Tolle teaches us that instead of identifying with these thoughts and allowing them to dictate our emotions and states of being, we can observe them with detachment. This practice of conscious observation helps us recognize that we are the vastness of the ocean itself, not just the waves that disturb it. The power of meditation and mindfulness is emphasized as essential tools on this journey. By focusing on our breath or the present moment, we manage to disconnect from the constant stream of negative thoughts that try to dominate our mind. This simple action of bringing attention to the now allows us to find an anchor point amidst the storm, a haven of calm and inner peace. Tolle also reminds us of the importance of facing adversity, not as an obstacle but as an opportunity for spiritual and personal growth. It's in moments of greatest challenge that we are propelled to dig deeper within ourselves, discovering the solid rock of our true essence, which is unchangeable and eternally at peace, regardless of external storms. Therefore, maintaining inner peace is a constant practice of turning inward, recognizing and disidentifying from negative thoughts, and finding refuge in conscious presence. By doing so, we not only cultivate a sense of serenity and balance in our own lives, but also become beacons of peace and tranquility in a world that desperately needs it. As we conclude our exploration of maintaining inner peace and personal transformation, it's essential to acknowledge the depth and simplicity of the message we've explored. Through the analogy of building a house upon the rock, as mentioned by Eckhart Tolle, we are reminded of the importance of grounding our existence in something unshakable. The rock symbolizes our deepest consciousness, the eternal and timeless core of our being that remains untouched by the storms of life. cultivating inner peace is not a destination to be reached, but a continuous journey of returning to this core, especially in times of adversity. By reminding ourselves to anchor our experiences in the present and recognize the presence we are, we transcend the fear and anxiety that arise from identifying with passing thoughts and emotions. This moment of significant global challenge, as mentioned, is not just an obstacle, but a precious opportunity for awakening and deepening our consciousness. It's an invitation to detach from narratives of fear and rediscover the solid rock of our essence, where true peace resides. I hope this message has been helpful to you. Don't forget to like and share this video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.